How's it going, guys? Welcome to LaLiga Insiders. Jaime Soler, Rodrigo Faiz, and Christina Alexander with you throughout the season to, of course, break it down. Let's check out the menu for today, at least after this first week of action. The question is, was it really a good start for Real Madrid? They had the 3 points, but maybe a bad start or a bad omen for Barcelona. And what's new with our insiders? We'll check that out, as well as a little juicy topic on Extra Time, courtesy of Feliciano López there being a little clever on Twitter. But let's start with Real Madrid after that 2-1 win against Almeria. With that question, Rodrigo, was it really a good start for Carlo Ancelotti and company?
Hi, Chris. Definitely, it was a great start for Ancelotti and Real Madrid because they won. That's the most important thing of all because they won. They got those 3 points in the first leg of the season, and then the good game will come in the following weeks. But you have to take in mind that Real Madrid arrived from a very tight summer in terms of dates because they made that U.S. tour with with a lot of kilometers, a lot of planes, a lot of tight calendar and tight schedule for them. And since it was the first game of the season, you have to be practical in the way they have to win. You have to play the best you can, but it's more than enough to get those 3 points in a so difficult and so tight stadium like Almeria. You know that Almeria just got promoted last year, and they were very illuminated by having Real Madrid in the first leg. So that's something that really challenged Almerian side. So that's why Real Madrid got some rotations in with people like Rudiger, with Nacho, with Tchouaméni, who made his debut in La Liga. So I think and I understood that they weren't to make the best game so far, but at the end they won, which is the most important thing, and the self-confidence of the team, I think, that improved a little bit right after the game with those 3 points, which were really important for Ancelotti and the rest of the players.
Absolutely, especially for the defending champions and what is always that pressure that accompanies that Real Madrid badge. Here's the possession, at least we know the domination was for Real Madrid, 68% versus the 32% against Almeria. But even then, Gemma, it was until the 75th minute with David Alaba with that stunner to really put that 2-1 lead and finally get those 3 points. Are you convinced with what Ancelotti presented, at least for this first match?
Well, it was a pragmatical game, and it's what Madrid did last season, and it wasn't bad, at all. It was they won La Liga, the Champions League, and the Supercopa. So it's a recipe that works well for them. And once again, players coming off the bench are the super decisive in the result. So I think it's a game, a pragmatical game, a typical game at the beginning of the season. I think we cannot expect to see brilliant football at this very beginning. Maybe yes, for a couple of minutes, for some minutes, but not for 90 minutes. It's difficult for a defending champion to visit an underdog team just back to the first division. It can be a scary game, and it was at the beginning at minute 7 when they were 1 goal down, and they managed to have psychology. Ancelotti had his recipe. He looked at the game. He knew what this match needed, and he did it right. And as Rodri mentioned, it's very important to start with the 3 points, and it's going to be such an exceptional season because it will have this break for the World Cup. So I think it will be very psychologically very important to have points to be in the lead before going to
this word that you use repeatedly, Gemma, and it's so true when we talk about Real Madrid and Rodri. Psychology, that mentality that is so unique to this team that a lot of people argue that that's why they ended up winning the Champions League, that winner mentality that is in Real Madrid's DNA. But could that really be, again, a deciding factor for the defending champions to not only defend the championship here in La Liga, but also think about, of course, La Orejona and that Champions League?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that Real Madrid made last season, and they made it really well. But all the people in Real Madrid in the club, they know that it is something that is really difficult to repeat this season. So that's why they reinforce with people like Rudiger, with Chouameni, and that's why they go in to rotate a little bit more, because they do believe their DNA is something special, and it is something unforgettable, and something you couldn't find in any big club like Real Madrid in the world. But what happened last season is something that is almost impossible to repeat this season. So that's why Ancelotti wants to play a little bit better. They want to play even brighter than the last year, because last year they were really practical in terms of winning, and in terms of winning the league 4 dates pre or the end of the season. So that's why they want to keep moving on, and they want to grow a little bit. You got people like Nacho, which is going to be important this season as well. You got Rudiger, which is the new kid on defense, and mostly you got Chouameni, the French guy that came in this season, and he has to be one of the key guys in the midfield, because he needs to make Casemiro rest a little bit in the midfield, which is something really important for Real Madrid, because we know that Kroos, you got Modric, you got Casemiro, all of them are not really young, and you have to make that step for Chouameni, for Camavinga, or even for Valverde, that yesterday he made a great performance again in some different position that he's used to play. So that's why they know that the mentality is really important for Real Madrid, but they have to make some other things this season to try at least to fight for other titles.
And you mentioned these 3 big names, obviously very important names, like we know of that midfield, but we know they're not getting any younger. Kema, that's the reality with Kroos, with Casemiro, and of course with Modric. But with this lineup now, is there that possibility of thinking about maybe their final seasons with Real Madrid for players like Chouameni and for Camavinga to really step forward and say, we're here, we're young, we're ready?
Yes, definitely. That's one of the key points of this Real Madrid. Actually, last season, at the very end, Fede Valverde was decisive in some games. Eduardo Camavinga showed his quality, and I'm sure Tchouaméni will have his chances. I think this will be very important. It's a defending champion. It's, as I mentioned, an extraordinary year. They will be competing in 4 competitions, so of course there will be for sure minutes with all of them, and who combines us most, Carlo Ancelotti will be in the start for the important games. But I'm sure the youngsters with this new energy will have a lot. But I'm sure the old rock stars will give them still a little bit of a hard time, because they are terrific players, and they are such a team. We will be talking about Barcelona later. One of the keys of this Real Madrid, I think, that they are a very well-built team, and they play. It's like they know what the moves, what they have to do at any time, and this, of course, with Kroos, with Modric, and with Casemiro, it's warranted.
Let's talk about Barcelona now. Actually, it came out not only for what they couldn't do, but speaking of rock stars, of course, with Robert Lewandowski, it's incredible with that 0-0 draw. I'll stay with you. That 67% possession. It seems to be kind of a pattern that we know with Barcelona. A lot of possession, not enough in the front, in this attacking 3 that they now have available, that Xavi now has available. Was it a disappointment? Was it just a bad start for Barcelona? Or is this a foreshadowing of what the season's going to be?
Honestly, Cristina, we didn't expect that. There was such a big excitement, and it seemed like the perfect beginning of the opening for the season. It was at home against they like to play, so you will find spaces in that rival, and it didn't work that well. I don't think we have to jump into so many conclusions. It's just the opening game. It's a team with quite a lot of new pieces, even though at the beginning it was only 3 new pieces. But yeah, it was such a disappointment.
Yeah, a disappointing result, a 0-0. Your first game, of course, in front of the fans. As Gemma said, the expectation was totally different. Did you expect a different result, Rodri?
Sure, sure. I think everyone expected something different because Elysian is back at Barca, but I think that Barca is not back at their best yet. And I do understand that with so many new players, you have to wait and you have to be patient because since you have back in the squad with Dembele, you have Rafinha, you got Lewandowski, you have people like, for example, I don't know, the guys at the back. I mean, I know and I understand with Kessié and Christensen that you have to make some time of adaptation, but all the people are waiting a little bit more of Xavi's squad. I do understand that maybe if there's a point in the season in which you can fail, this is the great moment of the season in which you can fail because all the clubs can fail because they're not adapted or whatever. But Barca needs a little bit more to offer to the fans because the fans were waiting for something different, for something that made them a little bit opposite than the Barca they saw last season. And at the end it's the same because last season we could see how Barca didn't lose any game outside away from Camp Nou, but at the Camp Nou they were failing a lot. And you know that in this season one game at home, one fail. Something is not working right with Xavi at home, and this is something that the supporters are aware of. So I see that Barca needs a little bit time, a little bit more time. They have that adaptation time too. So I expected a little bit more, and I expect Barca to grow a little bit and to see people like Christensen, Kessié, or even the guys that they were last season like Eric Garcia or Araujo making a little bit better in order to get Barcelona back at the level of Real Madrid, and now they're still far away.
Yeah, I mean, it's like building a beautiful house and then somebody telling you that you can't come in and you can't use it. It's there, it looks pretty, but it has to work too, and it has to work now for Barcelona, especially after so many levers that we're going to get into here in a second. Now on to what we came here to do. For insider information, starting off with Real Madrid, with Rodrigo, what information do you have for us?
Well, the first breaking news that we have through the sources that we have in Real Madrid is that they are kind of surprised because of Asensio. In the past 4 official games, Asensio has played 0 minutes. None of the minutes that he could have played, he was on the bench or even outside the squad. So that's why everyone was like, okay, he switched his agent by the end of last season, and now he has George Mendes in charge. So everyone expected him to be out of Real Madrid because he had 3 options at the beginning of this summer window transfer. Either going away from Real Madrid on whatever transfer to any sign of the teams that they were interested in him, or renew his contract. He doesn't have a renewal contract at the moment, and the third option for Asensio is stay at Real Madrid just like the way he is now at the moment, and by the end of next season, by June, he can leave Real Madrid on a free transfer. So that's why everyone is surprised at Real Madrid, like, okay, he's not gonna play, he's not counting on Ancelotti, so let's see if in the 2-3 weeks that are left on this window market transfer, someone gets him an offer good enough to convince him to leave Real Madrid. So that's why we are kind of waiting for his future to be done. Let's see what happens, but this is something that Real Madrid is kind of surprised about.
Absolutely, and the fan probably is really surprised as well with the start that he had, with the potential. Of course, not only him, but we know who isn't there anymore as well, his buddy Isco. So now, not only with Real Madrid and this possible move, but one that's maybe that is confirmed now. Tell us a little bit about what you know with Atletico de Madrid, their neighbors, and their movements.
Well, about Atletico de Madrid, we have to tell you that my guys inside the club just told me this morning that they are not planning on getting a new signing for Atletico de Madrid. We can talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, which is not impossible, but it's really, really difficult to get him to Atletico de Madrid. But we're talking about the right back, because since Trippier left Atletico de Madrid last season, they got Daniel Vaz, who left Atletico de Madrid last week due to personal circumstances, and Atletico Madrid doesn't really have any right back signing prepared for the rest of this month. I mean, unless a miracle happens, Atletico Madrid is going to keep Nahuel as the right back, or if he fails or he has any injury for the rest of the season, they might have Marcos Llorente to be the right back. But unless a miracle happens at Atletico Madrid, they're not going to sign anything else for this window market transfer.
Yeah, a difficult situation as well. We know that the defense has changed a lot in the last few seasons for Simeone. Before we get to your last point, Rodrigo, I want to get to Gemma as well, because we know that there have been movements in Barcelona, a lot as we already know, but could there be more, Gemma?
Yes, there will be more for sure. The first one will be almost for sure Marcos Alonso. Barcelona are working on the paperwork to be able to finish this operation and then to register him. But it will be another time, because they still have to work on Koundé, which is the priority now. They are working on the pay cut on Sergio Busquets, because the one with Gerard Piqué, they were negotiating, but it has stopped. So they are working on that. And of course, they are still dreaming on Bernardo Silva, but we have to explain that what our sources told us is that there is an internal debate now, because Barcelona are the second team in Europe who has spent more money in signings. It was quite disappointing the first game of the season, but probably who was the best player in the field apart from Marc-André ter Stegen, it was Frenkie de Jong. So of course Xavi wants Bernardo Silva. They think they will bring a lot of quality in the midfield, but they also know that Man City won't accept an offer for less than 100 million, and they are starting to think that maybe this is a pipe dream, maybe this is too much for a team who has spent so much already in signing. So we're talking about this internal debate. It will also have a lot to do with what the player wants. They know that the player has a desire to change the club. And while in Barcelona, some of them interpreted that message that he wrote this weekend on the social media saying, thanks a lot, Etihad Stadium. It was interpreted like in Barcelona as a message. The truth is that the player was, during 10 minutes, absolutely clapped when he was out of the bench. The Etihad Stadium showed him so much love, so he was referring to that. It was not a farewell, but he was really grateful for that momentum he lived. So that would be the priorities for Barcelona, to manage to balance the books, to be able to register Koundé before the next game on Sunday in Real Arena against Real Sociedad, and then next it will be Marco Alonso.
Yeah, so many possible changes. They've done it already. They've balanced the books until now, but it could be too good to be true. So that's great information to just kind of keep tabs on Barcelona, quite literally, as this summer has been, this transfer market, and all the levers, of course, that they're still waiting for some to activate. Rodrigo, what else do you have on possible movements, maybe from one league now to La Liga?
Yeah, we're talking about Hector Bellerin. You may know that Hector Bellerin is playing now for Arsenal in London, but he was on loan playing for Betis last season. He arrived in January, and we're talking about a very special person that he has a huge feeling for Betis because of family matters. And the thing is that despite the rumors here in Spain linking Hector Bellerin to Atletico de Madrid at the beginning of this window market transfer, the thing is that he rejected Atletico de Madrid at the very beginning of this summer because he only wants to join Betis Balompié. That's why he's still waiting for Betis to balance the books on the economical side. And once Betis got those thumbs up from La Liga to try to get new signings, he's going to join Real Betis Balompié, but he's still waiting to see if Betis can be allowed by La Liga to join Real Betis, because he wants to go to Betis either way. And the sentence that I was told is that he wants to join Betis whatever it costs. So that's why Hector Bellerin is proving again Betis supporters that he loves Betis more than any other team, despite the rumors linking him to any other massive teams in Europe. So that's why he's still waiting for Betis, and Betis is trying and working hard to balance their books and trying to get him, because it's going to be a really important signing, not only in the sporting side, if not in the dressing room, because he's really important for the teammates that now are playing for Betis.
The mutual love, of course. We remember those tears down Bellerin's face when he realized he was leaving Real Betis, or it was his last match. So we'll have to see how that situation turns out. If they want to learn how to balance books, maybe they can, I don't know, phone a call to Barcelona, to Joan Laporta, to see how they've been doing it. It's staying on topic for the Blaugranas as well. You mentioned Marcos Alonso, that possibility, and maybe a movement too from Sergino Dest. What else can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, he was a player who was relegated from that squad list in against Rayo Vallecano, and what we can explain is that this is a technical decision. It's not related to the trouble in finance, but the coach has decided that he might not be the right fit for that right back for Barcelona, because the curious thing is that he was the only natural right fullback who was available for that game, and even with this, he was not included in the squad list. We can explain that he has failed to convince Xavi, even though they think he has quality. He will be having not many opportunities, and they have asked him to look for a team before the August the 31st. So even though his will be to stay in the team, but there is a World Cup. He needs minutes. He needs to be playing. So we will see what happens in the next 2 weeks, because his situation of this U.S. international, it's really complicated to enjoy minutes in
Absolutely.
Barcelona.
The U.S. men's national team will for sure have an eye, and it's interesting that the World Cup, we're going to see it in November, of course, because we see so many movements motivated by being 100%, 150% fit for the next World Cup. Well, let's check out a little bit of extra time. Let's have a little bit of fun. I always have fun with you guys. Let's be real. But now with extra time, Feliciano López had something to say about Barcelona. Now he said the palanca, which means lever, song in Spotify doesn't sound louder anymore. You know, he said, well, the volume isn't as loud as it should be. Rodri, what do you think? Clever, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny, and I do understand, that, all this football debate on Twitter is really fun, but I know that from Barcelona's locker room doesn't really laugh a lot at these kind of tweets, because they understand that they have Piqué, which is someone that tweets a lot and really loves to laugh about Real Madrid's problems, but Barcelona locker room were like, okay, what about this guy? If you compare Feliciano to Rafa Nadal is a Real Madrid fan too. He's more smart, he's more elegant, he's more classy, but not Feliciano in this time. But I think I mean, I like this kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, they probably read the tweet and were like, oh,
well,
okay, he's at it again. What do you think, Gemma?
Yeah, sure.
It's true that the players, that they don't give that much importance to that. Probably if this tennis player writing this down would be Rafa Nadal, as Rodri mentioned, they would be much more upset, because he's like a truly gentleman, and it will be something much more upsetting. But as for Feliciano Lopez, he likes to do this kind of jokes and to taunt a little bit. The ones that were not very happy were the supporters. They felt very offended, and they quickly started to provoke him back, like saying, how many Grand Slams do you have? And I don't know. I don't know, Rodri, explain to me. I don't find it that funny, because the Palanca song, I don't think it's that fun.
No, for me it's funny, because I love when Piqué, for example, tweets about Real Madrid's problem. I say, okay, this is the game, and I love the game. But you have to laugh when you are against or for your team. So that's why it's something really positive for the people to be very natural and close to the people.
Yeah, well, Cristina, as for that, when Feliciano goes to Barcelona for a walk, he might have a little bit of trouble. Maybe,
He
maybe if
wouldn't
he
go.
comes in the next few weeks.
I love it. I don't know if I should admit this, but I love reality TV, and to me, this is like an episode of reality TV, right? TV about real,
Yeah.
their reactions, and maybe they don't like it that much. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit of drama and it's a little bit of entertainment, at least for us. Guys, this was awesome. Our first, edition of La Liga Insider. Of course, if you live in the United States, remember you can watch all of La Liga matches on ESPN Plus, and you can see Gemma and Rodri always. Follow them on Twitter. There's always a way to translate as well as they do for us for La Liga Insider. So we really appreciate it, guys. With all the best information, Gemma, Rodri, Christina. We'll see you next time.